Hello, this is a recap of what we did in class today. So if you look in your classwork tab in Google Classroom, you'll see that there is an assignment called Part 1, America's Promise 1.8. When you open that up, there is a document that is for you, will have your name in front of it, and it explains the OPTIC strategy for visual text. So you can see here, OPTIC is a strategy for analyzing visual text. So that could be any kind of visual, including paintings, photographs, ads, maps, charts, graphs. And the purpose is to interpret the meaning or theme of that visual text using this strategy. So the word OPTIC is an acronym, which means each of the letters in the word stands for something. And each of those letters stands for a part in the process of interpreting a visual text. So the first one is overview, then parts, title, interrelationships, and conclusion. So the overview is where you are just giving your first impression of what the visual text is about. Parts is where you zoom in on a few details that you think are important about the visual. Title is seeing what you can gain from the title or caption of the picture. Interrelationships is where you start to make some inferences about what the various details you've seen so far might mean. And then conclusion is where you state what you think the artist or photographer of the visual that you're using wants you to think about, what message they want you to take away from that visual. So this picture and caption is the textbook example of a visual text and how to put it through the OPTIC strategy. So what you have here are the examples that we came up with as a class for each of the steps in OPTIC. So for the overview, the class said that the overview of this picture is that immigrants are arriving on a boat in America. Just the first impression. For the parts that we focused in on, we came up with that the Statue of Liberty is present in the picture. The people look like they're dressed warmly, they're bundled up. Their clothes look a little ragged. The people and the boats look sort of old-fashioned. And the people have facial expressions of, wonder or amazement. So all of those are objective facts. There are boats, there are people, they are dressed a certain way. We're not really making any attempt to say why any of those things are the way they are. We're just saying that they exist. The Statue of Liberty is there, the boats are there, the people are here. Objective facts. When we take a look at the title, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can get from this. So people listed that we know that the time period is the late 19th century because it gives us a date. It tells us exactly where they are. So people who weren't sure where the Statue of Liberty was would know from looking at the title that they are in New York. We know that they're on the steerage deck. So that's another thing about location. We know they're on an ocean steamer. We know they're being welcomed. And we know that the type of visual that we're looking at is a sketch or a drawing. So again, we're looking for objective facts. When we get down to interrelationships, that's when we start making some inferences. So we're putting together the fact that there are people on the boat being welcomed, that they're in New York at Ellis Island. So we can Infer that this is a bunch of immigrants arriving for the first time in New York. The fact that they're on the steerage deck and they're wearing ragged clothing can lead us to the inference that they are poor. Because they are bundled up and there seems to be like a storm in the sky, we can infer that they might be cold or that they came from somewhere that was cold. And from their facial expressions, we might infer that they're feeling welcome or excited about being in America. So finally, the conclusions. And there is not always one particular answer that works better than another. It is interpretive. But here were some of the suggestions that classmates came up with. America is a welcoming place for immigrants who want to be free. Everybody is welcomed in America. It's the start of a new era, and the US is accepting more cultures. So any of those would work based on the things that we listed up here in the parts and title and interrelationships. This is sort of the overarching message of the visual. So the individual work for today was to look at this photograph, which also has a caption down here, and to try applying the optic strategy on your own. So you would give me your overall sense of what the picture is about, 3 or more details that seem important to you, what you learn from the caption information, some inferences of how all this relates and what it means, and then a statement about what the picture as a whole means or the message of the person who took it. So once you complete that chart for the photograph, you will turn this document in through Classroom and you are done for the day.